Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Where did I come from? All right, let's start at the beginning. Number one, I come from very, very humble beginnings. Come from a single parent household, and I'm the oldest of 3 kids. At age 7 or 8, I was thrust into a role of sort of being the man of the house. And my mom knew exactly what she was doing. She was trying to prepare me for this life that was ahead of me. So I certainly appreciate that every day that my mom entrusted some of the smaller things around the house to me to manage and get done at that early age. But what you got to understand, guys, is if you grew up like I did, where you had a mom that bust her butt to go out and work to take care of you. My mom worked a lot, but she had to do that in order to take care of 3 kids at home. You know, we had to have somewhere to live. We needed food to eat. We needed clothes on our back. And my mother made sure those 3 things happened. So I grew up pretty quickly. Now, one of the things that I really, really enjoyed as a kid was playing football. And at the age of 7 years old, I was introduced to football. I can remember going out to practice on the first day and them giving me a helmet at 7 years old, and the helmet was so big that I could spin it all the way around my whole head. It just didn't fit. But that's how I started playing football, and I played football for many, 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 many years, and football actually afforded me a lot of fantastic experiences. So, but I had a normal childhood, man. I grew up mostly in public housing. But when you're 7, 8 years old, man, and that's all you know, you don't know there's a big old world out there. At least where I come from and the way I grew up, all you knew was your hood. You didn't know about the rest of the world. So the way we lived was normal. But as I started to grow up and got to be 10 or 11 years old, got to middle school and started venturing out of the neighborhood, is where I discovered that people lived quite differently outside of my neighborhood than the way I lived. And not that I lived bad. I mean, I had a great childhood. My mom provided for us. She loved us, and she taught us a lot of valuable lessons about life. But it wasn't a bad childhood. We just didn't have a lot, which was fine. But like I said, though, as I became a teenager and started venturing out and meeting other people, I quickly found out there was a whole nother world out there that I could tap into. But you know, as a teen, like some of you, I was a little knucklehead. I didn't want to do the things that I knew I was raised by my mom to do. My mom taught me the difference between right and wrong, and so I knew that. But you know, when you're 12, 13, 14 years old and you're running with the wrong crowd, sometimes that peer pressure will overtake you if you allow it to. And if you guys have followed me for a while, you'll know I say the same: birds of a feather flock together. And I'm a prime example of that. When I was a teenager, in my young teenage years, I just ran with the wrong crowd. Now, good news for me is I never got into the point where I was doing anything majorly wrong. I certainly got into a few situations with the police as a 13-year-old, but nothing to the point where they were going to lock me up for the rest of my life. Just bad decisions, hanging with the wrong crowd. But back to that football thing again, I was a pretty good athlete, and the football thing saved me again, because where I'm from, or at least back in that day, you could not play football at the high school level unless you kept a certain level from a grade point average. So into my 9th grade year, when I was being a little knucklehead at 13 years old, I had a decision to make. I had a fork in the road. You know, either I could go out and lead a life of mischief and crime, or I could get my act together, play sports, go to school, and who knows what would happen if I did those things, the right things. Needless to say, guys, I chose to go down the right path. I got my act together by the time I was 14 years old, got back into sports, got myself back into doing well in school, and then from 14 to 18 through high school, I achieved quite a bit academically and from a athletic standpoint. And I was able to, at the end of my senior year of high school, through playing football, I was able to achieve a full football scholarship to the University of Florida, which again, man, changed my life. So from humble beginnings to getting ready to get on a Greyhound bus. If you guys remember Greyhound buses, getting ready to go on a Greyhound bus to the University of Florida on a full football scholarship was just for an inner city kid growing up in public housing. That was amazing in itself. So now let's fast forward to the University of Florida. So as I mentioned, my mom took me to the bus station and basically said, son, here's your duffel bag, here's a few bucks, get on that bus, and you better not come home until you have that degree. And I was like, Mama, you know I'm not going to disappoint you. Now guys, I lost my mom about 3 years ago. Well, it'll be 3 years in December. And but you know, she was my hero. She was my best friend, and she meant a lot to me. But like I said, you know, hey man, I know she's here with me in spirit. I'll always keep her in my heart, and she's always looking over me. So let's get on to the University of Florida. So I get up to the University of Florida as an 18-year-old with my duffel bag. So my position coach, Coach Zaven Uralian, picks me up from the bus station, and he takes me back to the dorms at the University of Florida. You guys got to understand, you're talking about an 18-year-old kid who, prior to going to Gainesville, really hadn't left his hometown. I hadn't been anywhere. So now all of a sudden I'm on this campus at this major university around, I don't know, at the time, UF probably had 25, 30,000, 40,000 students, somewhere in that area. I don't know the exact number, but you're talking about in the late 80s. So I'm not sure what the population was. It was a lot though. So you drop a kid like me from the inner city in that situation, it could have quickly went the wrong way for me. But you know, guys, it didn't, because of the things my mother had instilled in me as a child. Those things just carried through. And also, I made a promise to my mom that I wouldn't go up there and be a knucklehead. I would go up and do what I need to do to make sure I graduate with a degree from the University of Florida. So I knew that promise I wasn't going to break. So that kept me on that straight and narrow while I was at the University of Florida. So I got to the University of Florida, man, I dove right in, and I was up there 5 years. My first year up there, I got redshirted. So what that basically means is I go to school, I practice with the team, but I don't play in any of the games for my first year. So I got redshirted. And then I had 4 years left to play football. So that second year, which would have been my sophomore year from a school perspective, but my redshirt freshman year on the team, I was able to make an impact. And make a long story short, guys, I had a fantastic athletic and academic career at the University of Florida. I certainly made good on that promise to my mom. I graduated from the University of Florida with my degree before I left. I also did extremely well on the football field. I was all SEC 2 years in a row, All-American, you name it. All those accolades I made. And, you know, I was able also to be drafted in 1991 by the Cincinnati Bengals. Now I'm starting to play at the big boy level. And guys, it was a total shock. Now I did well. My first year in Cincinnati, I started 3 games, played in a bunch of more games, and then I moved on to the Arizona Cardinals for the tail end of my rookie season. And then I moved on to the Chicago Bears in 1992 and 1993. I played with the Bears. And then I had a small, quick stint with the Washington Redskins in 94, but didn't make the team. Came home, back to Southwest Florida, and that was it. That was my NFL career. About 3 years, but it was a fantastic 3 years, man. Didn't make a whole bunch of money because back then, guys, you didn't make that kind of money as a 6th-round draft choice. I made some money, but it certainly wasn't enough money to retire and never work again for the rest of my life. So I had to come home and get a job. I had to come home and figure out what am I going to do with the rest of my life at 26 years old. And I got here, got back to Southwest Florida. And fortunate for me, along my journey through college, through the NFL, I had met some pretty influential people here in Southwest Florida that said, hey man, when your playing days are over, make sure you look me up. And if I can help you in any way, let me know. So, I got home and I did that. So that's a good lesson for you guys, man. Always be networking. Always be taking information from people, giving out your information, because you never know when that networking, you're going to need to draw on it and pull it in to help you accomplish something. So that networking I did during my playing days at Florida and in the NFL started paying off for me when it was time for me to transition into a normal everyday life. So I certainly got home, hooked up with the right people. They got me a few interviews, and I landed a job with a major financial institution. And everything else from there is history as it relates to my banking career. But I've been in banking for 25 years, man, and it's been a fantastic career. So let's talk about a little bit about how I transitioned myself and how I put myself in a position to afford the 458, to afford the GT3 and the SL63. Well, when I got home at 26 years old, I was in a situation where, although I had made some money in the league, guys, I lived a pretty extravagant life like most of the guys that are in the NFL. So I didn't have a bunch of money left when I got home. I had a little bit of money, but that was just enough money to try to transition and get on my feet. I had to go out and get a real job to support myself. And at the time, I had 3 young daughters that I had to support. So, it was just not enough for me to be able to sit back on my laurels and kick back and have my ties. I had to get a job. So once I got that job, I started thinking, well, okay, I got a job taking care of my basics, my everyday needs, my kids. Now I need to figure out how to make some more money. I just need to figure that out. So what I started doing was I started going to these networking events. And one of those events I went to, believe it or not, guys, was Amway. I don't know if you guys remember Amway, but Amway goes way back. But what it does is it connects you to other people through what they call multi-level network marketing or something of that nature. But it was many years ago. The reason I tell y'all about Amway is, and again, I think Amway is a great company. I have nothing against Amway. But the reason I tell you guys that is because through that experience, I was introduced to a lot of valuable resources. It introduced me to Dale Carnegie, introduced me to Zig Ziglar, introduced me to Robert Kiyosaki and folks of that nature who talked a lot about leveraging yourself and creating more income and how to create income in a way that it's passive and you can use that income to do it. Just opened my eyes, and I'm thinking, well, wow, I want to be able to do that. So through that Amway experience, I got introduced to these types of tools, and I said, the first thing I want to do, because I'm listening to Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Robert Kiyosaki was like, look, man, in the book, leverage, real estate. And I'm thinking, how do I do that? So the first thing I did, and I know I've talked about this, guys, in previous videos, but the first thing I did was I went ahead and bought a house. Now, good news for me was my credit was still good, and I had a good, solid, full-time job that had reoccurring income, and I could prove my income. So with that, I didn't have very much down payment because, like I said, I didn't have very much left over from the NFL. But I did have my credit intact, and I did have a good job. So I could go to a mortgage company and say, hey, I want to buy this house through first-time home buyers, put the 3% down, and then they would finance the rest for me because I had a job. I had proven income, and I had good credit. So that's how I got into real estate. Just like that, I bought that one little house, and then in 2 years, extracted all the cash out of it, put it into a second house, extract all the cash out of that second house, put it into a third house, and I just kept doing that, guys. Just off of what I learned through my couple Amway meetings and then being introduced to tools like Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Zig Ziglar, Dale Carnegie. And really Zig Ziglar and Dale Carnegie was more about how to deal with people, how to motivate yourself, and then how to motivate others. How to leverage yourself through others. But it also just helped me deal with people in life. How to treat people, how to take care of people, how to not take advantage of that kind of thing. And then you get the most out of people when you treat them well. When you help enough people get what they want, then you ultimately get what you want. So that's how I got into real estate, and I started just duplicating that process. And then before I knew it, guys, I had a nice little nest egg of money that I had made from real estate. And then from there, I said, I want to take this thing to another level. And that's when I got into luxury watch sales and, boom, took it to another level. See, my goal all along was to set myself up financially for retirement and then set myself up to be able to buy these toys that I got in here, like the 458, like the GT3, and the SL63. So that was my goal all along, was to put myself in a position where I could afford these things. And the only way I could do that was I had to figure out a way to keep this cash. I had to figure out a way to make more cash. And so that's what I did. And fast forward to today, the fruits of my labor have come through. Now, delayed gratification was a big piece of that too, though, guys. But you got to understand, for many years, I just worked, made this money through these streams of income, and I just put it away. I maximized the 401k so that I knew later on in life, when I wanted to divert money elsewhere, I wouldn't be lacking in the 401k. So all those years, I made sure I maximized and put in the 401k so that I was good and put in my retirement accounts, so that later on in my life, when I started taking money and spending it on cars and things like that, then I wouldn't be feeling bad that I wasn't properly set up for retirement. So the delayed gratification piece that I've talked about also, guys, in videos, was a big key. And I delayed for many, many, many years till I knew I had enough money in my 401k that I was good, and in my retirement accounts, and I had enough cash on the sideline or in investments that I could buy cars and be able to use that money to invest it to earn enough interest to pay for the monthly payments on these cars, along with the luxury watch sales. And so that's what I do. That's how I pay for these cars. The cash, I could pay cash for these cars, but guess what? Then I don't have any earning assets. Obviously, the car is a depreciating asset, so I don't want to spend all my cash. One, I won't be earning any money by spending all my cash, and then I spend it on a car, which also is not going to earn me any cash. So what I decided to do is take the cash that I would normally spend for a car, put that cash in investments, let it earn me a real nice return, take a part of that return, pay for these cars. And guess what? When it's time to get rid of the car, I still got my cash. See what I mean? I still got my cash. And that's the point. The point is, oh, well, you can't play cash, you can't afford it. No, I can't afford to pay for the cars, but I choose not to because I choose to hang on to my cash. So that's the concept I use. I'm not saying that's the concept for everybody, but that's the concept I use, and it's worked well for me over the years. And it still does work well for me. So guys, that's a little bit about me, man. That's a little bit about where I come from and who I am and how I've gotten to where I've gotten to. Now, obviously, there are a lot of more steps and a lot of more things to talk about, but I don't want this video being 2 hours long. So I kind of paraphrased and gave you guys the Cliff Notes version of where I come from. So guys, I hope that gives you a little bit more insight to who I am. I know to some of you guys that's not important, but there are people that are subscribed to my channel that it is important to. And I want to make sure if someone asks me to make a video that I feel is within my realm to make, I'm going to make it. Because I think it's good for people to know where folks come from that they allow in their inner circle. And I feel like you guys allow me in your inner circle because you've subscribed to my channel. And guess what? You're listening to my videos, and some of you may take some of my advice, you may not, but that's okay. If you don't, you don't. That's okay. Really, it's not even advice. It's really me telling you my story and how I have gotten where I've gotten in my life. And again, guys, there are people that are way more successful than me out there. But you know something? That's not what I'm chasing. I'm chasing my own success. I'm chasing my own greatness. So I'm not chasing somebody else's greatness. I'm chasing my own greatness. I sit down and put together what I feel like my goals are, and that's what I chase. I don't worry about what my next door neighbor, his goals are. I don't worry about that. Now, if I can help him, I'm more than willing to do that, but I don't worry about it. I worry about my own greatness, pulling the greatness that God, my creator, has put in me, pulling that out of me. That's what I concern myself with, not someone else's greatness. And I would ask you guys to do the same thing. Worry about your greatness, you know, because you got it in you. You just got to pull it out. You got to make that decision that you're going to extract that greatness out of yourself, which I know a lot of you are doing and a lot of you are starting to do. So that's good news. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you a little bit more insight to who I am. And like I said, man, I appreciate you guys taking time out to watch it. I know this video is a little longer than I normally put out, but you know, I thought it was time for me to let you guys in and find out a little bit more about me. So all right, guys, if you're stopping by the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing and share the video. And give the video a thumbs up, man, just because, you know, it's probably the right thing to do. So give me a thumbs up. Keep chasing greatness, guys. But until the next video, peace. If you want 2 free stocks, click on that link in the description box of the video, and Webull is going to give you 2 free stocks when you open a new Webull brokerage account. Deposit $5 in that brokerage account. They're going to give you 2 free stocks valued up to $2,300. Today's video is sponsored by my company, RF Financial Consulting. And in my company, I work with individuals just like you through financial mentoring and coaching sessions. And in those 1-hour sessions, we talk about strategies to help you get to your financial freedom, whether it be through real estate investing, stock market investing, creating additional streams of income, credit card arbitrage, or starting and growing a business. If that's something that you might be interested in, there's an email address in the description box of the video. Send me an email and let's discuss if I'm the right fit for you.